kind of facilities that you have, what kind of capacity, building, machine, manpowers that you have. Is it possible for you to do your manufacturing? Or okay, maybe you ask someone else to do the products, okay, to you. Okay, for example, I give you an example of iPhone, right? So they are not doing the screen. So the company that doing the screen is Samsung. Okay, and also I'm sharing with you about the Proton, all right? So the engine, cylinder, and the crankshaft is made by Produa. Okay, so there's a lot of things. So because they just don't want to invest to have a new capacities, or maybe they just want to stay in that status quo, because they feel that if they give more efforts to do an investments to that particular parts of component, maybe it will not give a very good visibilities in terms of economy of scale. All right, so they give project to them. Okay. And then inventory aggregation. All right, so this is more to aggregation allows them to significantly lower overall uncertainty and improve economy of scale in purchasing and transportation. Less safety and cycle inventory required. This is more to the decision of you to having your inventory. All right, is it possible for you to come up with a very big building and store all the products in the warehouse? Or maybe you are going to rent a warehouse outside from your facilities, for example, in case of CTRM, aerospace company. So our CTRM does not keep a lot of inventory in their compound. Okay, instead of they rent a warehouse, okay, near to the ports, all right, seaports, all right. Why? Because they have to ship a very big products, okay. For example, the covers engine of the aeroplanes, okay, and also the wing parts, okay. It is not a small thing to ship, right? So to ship those kind of parts that have big in size, they have to fight with available areas that they have in the ship. Okay, so that's why somehow they try to squeeze in, but then maybe it will affect. It will give an effect of the secondary defect. So they sometimes they just put on hold in the storage. All right, so waiting for another ship to take the parts. All right, so that's how they plan, okay, the inventories, right, aggregation. Okay, and also the transportation aggregation by transportation intermediaries. All right, so maybe some of the companies, for example, if Protons, they hired TLS Logistic, DB Schenker. All right, so that kind of renowned logistic company, okay, to ship the products, okay, from maybe, for example, from the factories of Shah Alam to the factories in Tanjung Malim, or maybe the parts came from the vendors and to deliver to the to Protons, right? So it depends, okay. And then also LTL, lorry truckload, right? Carriers. This is more to the how you planning of your transportation. So I think I'm giving you an example of the Toyotas in Japan. So they are not using a 20 or 40 footer truck because they have all the vendors have their factories nearby, the main factories of Toyotas. So they are using a small lorry and trucks, right? So to deliver that. So that's why you barely see a very high, very long container in Japan, because they use that kind of method. Okay. The method that we call that is more to the just in time, all right, JIT. Okay, all right. Okay, and then number 4, continue of it, transportation by storage intermediaries, all right. This is another aggregation that can be considered, all right. Aggregating inbound and outbound transportation, able to aggregate shipment from several manufacturing into a single truck, aggregate package for customer at common destination. Okay, this is more to, let's say, for example, If you go for the Shopee, and then sometimes they use apa nama syarikat tu? Shipping tu? Bukan Shopee. JNT, alright? JNT. Okay, let's say for example, JNT have one of their distribution center. Okay, let's say for example, in Paya Raja areas. Okay, the areas that I live there. Okay, JNT have their distributors centers in Paya Raja. Okay, so all the products received from each part of Malaysia, if the address falls under the Paya Raja or nearby district, okay, so they are going to distribute and load it there, okay, in the distribution center, okay, and then a single truck will take and send it to the customer, okay. So that's we call it as storage intermediaries, all right. And then number 4 is warehousing aggregation. Okay, growth in surplus, okay, is achieved in terms of lower real estate costs and lower processing costs. Exploit economy of scale. Warehouse intermediary adds a lot of surplus for small suppliers and for companies that are starting out in a geographic location but unlikely to add much surplus for a large suppliers. Okay, warehouse aggregation means that normally, okay, most of the factories, they have their own warehouse, okay, but then companies always spend a minimum areas of warehousing, okay, because they don't want to keep a lot of products and keep it there, okay, because everything must change from the products to money, so they have to sell that. So and then for somehow let me take a case of CTRM. Okay, so they don't CTRM doesn't have any big warehousing that can storage the big parts came from outside of Malaysia. For example, they order the composite layout materials from US, and then receive at Port Klang, and then they don't have a big capacity to storage that. So what they have to do is they hired outside warehousing that capables that have this ability to storage the ply, the layout, okay, because it has to storage in the freezer with, I think, minus 20, I think minus 20 degrees Celsius, okay, for freezers to control the temperatures. All right. So so with that, okay, that's not a very good things to invest, because if you put all the facilities, the freezers, you are going to pay for that facilities, the electricity bills and things. So they just sub to outside, and they place that that materials, okay, outside of the factories in CTRM. Okay, so and then the other one is the other case is have you heard about the micro? I think you are familiar with gigafactories, right? When we talk about Tesla, so you well known about the gigafactories, okay? But then this is what we call as micro factories, okay? Let me show to you if there is a YouTube micro factories, okay? Micro factory. So the arrival, okay, berapa minit tu? Okay, this is a very interesting strategies of doing vehicles. All right. So most of the vehicles company, most of the automotive companies, they have a very big factories, but then in this kind of approach, they have only a micro factory the size of one normal warehousing. Okay. So let us see the. Hope we can.
I will start from a quote.
Boleh dengar tak? Ke dia putus-putus?
Albert Einstein. He said, an intelligent fool can make things bigger and more complex, but it takes a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. We take this concept very seriously here at Arrival. Any conventional factory is still based on the model of the conveyor belt from the 1950s or Henry Ford. The product goes through
Tak dengar? Macam mana saya nak bagi dengar? Kejap.
Tak dengar, doktor.
Langsung tak dengar. Daripada awal tadi tak dengar?
Awal tadi dengar.
Oh, awal tadi dengar? Oh, okay. Kejap. Saya silap tu. Okay. Again. Awal tadi dengar. Saya ulang balik. This is very good, yeah?
Any conventional factory is still based on the model of the conveyor belt from the 1950s or Henry Ford. The product goes through all the stations in a serial way. If you want to produce multiple products in the same place, in a serial system, you cannot do that because the full system is specifically designed to produce one product, one vehicle. We are revolutionizing all of this. The microfactory fixes all these problems.
I'm Mike. I lead Arrival Automotive. A typical automotive assembly plant will cover millions of square feet. Because you have to invest so much money to set up the factory, you then have to produce hundreds of thousands of vehicles. You're way overproducing for that local region. Our microfactories cover a couple of 100,000 square feet. Our van microfactory, for instance, is sized to build 10,000 vans a year when we're operating on 2 shifts. And at that size, we believe a metro area can support almost all of that demand. We're doing things nobody else has done before, and it takes a very unique mix of talents that bring that to life.
Hi, this is Nafu. I'm the Chief of Mobile Robotics here at Arrival. The microfactory is basically built around 2 main components. The robotic...
See, this is a robotic expertise, but look at him, just like a fashion designer.
Cell, which is the factory inside the factory. Think about it as a cluster of robotic arms. It's completely driven by computer vision and several forms of AI-based control. And then you have the glue connecting all the elements inside the factory, all the cells. This technology is mobile robotics. So robots that move in the environment autonomously.
That one is AGV, automated guided vehicles.
Interact with the cells and with any other robotic factory. We are reactive. We are adaptable. We are reconfigurable. This is the DNA of the microfactory.
The cell architecture is really, really exciting and it's really unique. My name is Raj Vyas. My role is to develop the assembly processes which allow us to build these microfactories. We're developing these microfactory cells, on average 20 meters by 20 meters, and those cells allow us to build a huge number of different products. That gives us scalability, modularity, and automation.
We aren't really a vehicle manufacturing company. And I say that because if you look at the people in the company, half of them are software engineers. So we are at our heart a tech company. So I can tell you that's dramatically different than a traditional vehicle manufacturer. One of the great enablers of the microfactory approach is keeping the capital, the investment in the microfactory relatively low, because that's what allows us to build many of them And so in the case of robots, we are buying very standard robots that several different companies produce. What we're developing inside the company is very sophisticated software.
In robotic semantics, study of understanding. How does the robot calculate its location in the space inside the microfactory? By developing AI tools to calculate all these features of semantics, we build systems that are capable of interacting. This is extremely powerful because we are basically moving from what I would call the glorified automation to advanced robotics on the shop floor. It's a key feature of the microfactory.
Our software team, they're developing advanced vision systems. Our goal is to put those vision systems on these robots. So the robot will go into a particular location, pick up certain parts, and identify where those parts are using advanced sensors. Once they've identified those parts, pick those parts up and locate them into position.
We're supporting this idea of local manufacturing, and we're part of a community. We're not only creating jobs, we're paying taxes. We really see this idea of distributed manufacturing as a much more beneficial model to the communities where we're located than the more traditional approach.
Microfactory concept is phenomenal. The product is made here, it stays locally, and it's electric. That helps our air quality and it helps our citizens. My name is David Swenson. I'm the Director for Economic Development in York County, South Carolina. The economic impact, can't say enough about the investment that's being made, the fiscal impact that has in our community, the social impact of what it will do to bring jobs, and the interaction our community will have with a cutting-edge technology company making electric vehicles is exciting.
Well, our vision is, over time, hundreds of microfactories scattered all over the world. It's not a question about are there even more opportunities, it's which opportunities do we want to explore first. We're using microfactories and the microfactory approach to produce vehicles, but I don't see any reason why this same idea can't be applied to other manufactured goods. The most profound technologies are the ones that become interwoven into the way that you live your life and the way that the society operates. And eventually they become such an integral part of the way things are done that you forget they're there. They just become the way that things are done. And I think what Arrival is developing could well be technologies along those lines.
Right. So that's one of the. This is quite new for me because I think the experience of me in automotive is you have to have a very big plant, all right, and you have to have a series of conveyor line, and then make a few hundreds of vehicles out from the conveyor lines. But then this is something different. Okay, they utilize the small areas of one-way housing, okay, and then they can produce the cars, okay, many types of cars in the areas that have only 20 by 20 meters, okay, in areas, okay, you can build a very plenty of models, okay, as small as van, as big as a bus, all right. So with that kind of situation, okay, they are not required to have a very big warehousing, all right. And they also have a very small areas, what we call as storage, all right. It's not up to the scale of warehousing, just a small storage for them to keep the materials, right? Okay. And of course, it is not an ordinary vehicles. It is an electric vehicles, EV. But then that's the future, all right. So the plan to have a microfactories is only it is only the factories only caters the needs of the local areas, all right. Means that maybe let's say for example we have one factories in Johor Bahru, so they only caters that the production for Johor Bahru needs, all right, Johor Bahru peoples and the surrounding areas, all right. So that's why they can do that in a small scale of factories. Let's say for example there is a needs of that factories as well in Batu Pahat, for example. So maybe they will have the same small size of warehousing, okay, and built there in Batu Pahat, okay, to cater the needs of Batu Pahat and surrounding areas, okay. So that's how they control the areas, and also they control the needs of the inventories and also warehousing, okay. So that's why growth in surplus is achieved in terms of lower real estate costs. Okay, the smaller areas you have, the cost for the real estate will be less. Okay, as an example, you have to rent a piece of land. Okay, and then you have to the bigger land you rent, the bigger monthly payment you have to pay. Okay, but then if you have a small size of a warehousing, okay, to build a factories, means that you have a lower real estate cost, okay, and also lower processing costs. Okay, processing is not only the process of producing the products, but then the process of handling all the management things, okay, to make sure that the factories is running, okay. So the smaller size, okay, the easy for you to control, okay. And then that's why if you can see how Americans, okay, America, US, United States, they consist of a very big, enormous land. Okay, the United States, you have let's say, for example, one of the a big land for the USA. Okay, so how they can build a modernization of each of their states, right? Because they are they give an autonomy for each of the states to do and to invest and to grow using what they have in that states. Okay, so the authorities is giving to the state to to grow the economy. Okay, so that's why American, if they have a big countries, a big countries, they are big countries and have very too many states there, but then they can achieve the modernization at the same path, okay, for each of the state, okay, because they give an autonomy for them to do whatever you want to grow the states, okay. So so the thing is, the main thing is how you want to make sure that you are in control, okay. All right, okay. And companies that are starting out in geographic location but unlikely to add much surplus or for a larger suppliers, okay. Let's say, for example, if your areas is somewhere in the north of Alaskan, all right, so nobody live there, okay, but then you have to have factories there. Of course, you have to have a very big warehouse, okay, for you to keep your products, all right, so your materials, okay, because it's not an easy access for the transportation to go to Alaskan, okay. You have to bypass all the snow road, okay, and then you want to put all the materials, okay, so back and forth will gonna cost you much, okay. So that's why also the geographical also play a role, okay, in the decision, okay. All right, so that's why you can see Selangor, there's a lot of factories in Selangor because it is at the centers of the peninsula, okay. So if you go and if you draw the lines of material resources planning, Selangor is the best place, okay. At most of the areas can be reached quite the same times, okay. And the radius also is much is not far from each others, okay, to compare to each others, right? So that's why Selangor is one of the heart of manufacturing, okay, in Malaysia, okay. And the different story happened in Johor, okay. So Johor have an issue of depleting resources in terms of manufacturing. Why? Because Johor location is too south from Malaysia, okay. So all the all the vendors came from north. It's quite far for them to transport the products, okay, the materials to Johor. Okay, right. So that's how geographic play a role, okay? in term of putting your materials in the warehouse, okay, or storage. All right. Okay, and then procurement aggregation and can others information aggregation. Let's say we go to the textbook. Okay. Okay, if you can see here, procurement aggregation, a third party increase the supply chain surplus if it aggregate procurement for many small players and facilitate economies of scale in ordering, production, and inbound transportation. Okay. Okay, for small players, for example, let's say you have your own logistic and transportation, okay, to cater several areas, okay, in your areas, for example, in local areas, okay, and then suddenly you want to ship you want to ship outside from your areas, okay, so or maybe you want to receive an orders parts from outside of your areas, okay, the procurement aggregation is the most important thing, is to check, okay, and to combine many small players and facilitate economy of scale in ordering. Okay, means that you centralize them. Okay, maybe you appoint DHL, for example, as your common center. Okay, so all the orders must came from the DHL, and this DHL will distribute the orders to your let's say for example your your slot system, your transportation, for example, okay, or maybe DHL own to store all the materials or components, okay, from the small players, okay, they put in the central, okay, and then if you want to have a parts, for example, okay, you can refer to DHL and DHL will ship to your place. Okay, so you facilitate that. Okay, and then a good example is Fleet Exchange, a firm that offers small truck fleet lower price for truck equipment and service through aggregate buying. Okay, procurement aggregation is not like a big factors with a few large customers. For example, contract manufacturers in the electronics, okay, have not convinced the large customer. So it depends on the nature of the orders, of what we want to procure. Okay. In the case of automotive, for example, I think some of the parts use this kind of approach. Okay, procurement aggregation. Okay. Okay, and then information aggregation. Okay, maybe you can have a read there. I think this is more to the by aggregating production information, eBags significantly reduce search costs for the online customer. If you go to UK, apa nama kat UK, lupa lah nama dia, company tu. Apa nama company tu? There is one company in the UK. If you go to the shop, all right, so they are not they don't have any big shop, just a small shop, all right, for you to take your orders. Okay, you do online of shopping, and then you go there and do a pickups there. Okay, they just fulfill your orders using an information aggregation. Okay, so they give a product information, Okay, so that customer will not go to the physical shop, okay, and search for that products. Okay, if you go there in the shop, they only give you a catalog, okay, and then you are going to check which one you want to buy, and then you have to fill up a form, a small form, something like you eat at the Old Town White Coffee. You have to fill up the small receipt, okay, which one we want to order, what is the code numbers. So the same applied here, okay. So they just reduce the cost of searching. All right, so they give you a very a good website, and also a big size of catalogs for you to search. Okay, so that's one of the information aggregation. Okay, you can do that as well. Okay, and then what else? Okay, receivable aggregation. Okay, um, okay, so this is more to the receivable aggregation. A third party may increase the supply chain surplus if it can aggregate the receivable risk to a higher level than the firm, or it has a lower collection cost than the firm. Okay, for example, Brightstar is a distributor of for Motorola in most Latin American countries other than Brazil. So let's say, for example, in here, we have, if you want to buy iPhone in Malaysia, you have to go to the Switch, for example, or you have to go for Machine if you want to buy an iPhone. Okay, so that's the only authorized distributors that have been appointed by Apple. Okay, so this is receivable aggregation. Why they do that? Because they want to make sure that if the center, let's say for example, Apple Americas control the situation in Malaysia, I think it is too far for them to control that. Okay, so that's why they appoint some of the third party. Okay, third party, right? To control that kind of situation. All right. Okay, so that's receivable. Relationship aggregation, which is an intermediary can increase the supply chain surplus by decreasing the numbers of relationship between multiple buyers and sellers. Okay. This is more to the example. If you go to Lotus, okay, Lotus is one big companies that handles all the groceries. Okay, so most of the buyers, okay, sellers, they are sending their products to Lotus, okay, or Tesco, okay, and then multiple buyers will go to Tesco and Lotus to buy the products. Okay, so be it it is a private buyers, okay, a normal consumer as like us, or maybe they came from the restaurant, okay, maybe a shop, okay, that sell the small products, okay, and then they want to buy that, so they go shopping and buy that in Lotus. Okay, so that's a relationship aggregation. Okay, so okay, instead of they go to each of the sellers, okay, let's say for example you want to buy a strawberry, you have to go and climb Cameron Highlands and buy strawberry. Okay, so that's not economical, okay, especially for the people like us as a consumer. Okay, if you want to buy a strawberry, and you have to go to Cameron Highlands. Okay, but then all the sellers, okay, all the sellers will dump in all the strawberries in Lotus. Okay, so you are going to much easier for you to get your strawberry. Okay, and the last one is lower cost and higher qualities. All right, this is more to the third parties can increase the supply chain surplus if it provide a lower cost or higher quality relative to the firm. Okay, so this is quite subjective because not all the supply chain, okay, will give a very good receive in terms of lowering the cost and come with higher quality of service, for example. Okay, so that's kind of less, but then it is some effort for them to do that. All right. Okay. Any question, guys? Ada soalan tak? Right, so risk ni, risk pula apa ni, aggregation ni penting, so you have to understand that. Okay, so maybe you can have a read properly, okay, in your textbook. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, so now we are going to enter the risk of using a third party. What does it mean? What does it mean, third party? Third party is the party that came from outside of your organization. Okay, so it is a term, okay, that used when someone with point and then do your stuff, you do your business, okay, and help you to run a business. Of course, the third party will take some of money as their profits, okay, and pay the services because they help you to sell the products, for example. All right, so there will be a risk. Okay, number one, the process is broken. Okay, so this is the risk of using third party. Number one, the process is broken, which is whereby sometimes you will lose control of the process. Okay, have to do a cost benefit analysis. Okay, for example, that's why when you sub your products to outside to the third party, let's say for example you want to build a car and then the doors is sub to the third party. Okay, let's say for example you sub to a company names DRB Highcom, for example. Okay, so DRB Highcom do the doors, all right, but sometimes they also lost control of the process. Okay, maybe because of the situation there, maybe because of the manpower that they have, maybe because of the age of their facilities and also the machine. Okay, sometimes they lost control of the process, and then they do the process and send to Proton, for example. Okay, so that's why before they accept the parts came from the party, there will be some checking point, okay, which is we call it as incoming quality control, IQC. Okay, so IQC will check 100%, okay, of the product received from the third party. Okay, because this might happen. Okay, process is broken. Okay, number two, underestimation of the cost coordination. Okay, coordination is the most important if using third party due to inventory management. Okay, so that's why most of the automotive company, if they appoint vendors or third party to do their products, okay, they are going to loop them in the system. Okay, we call it as ERP system. Okay, because they want vendors receive a fresh information and data, okay, straight from the factories, right, from the mother company. Okay, so they know how much they have to produce. Okay, just because they want to make sure that the coordination is intact. Okay, if it is not clear, the information is not clear, and they are going to produce the products using the expectation and assuming. Okay, so it may lead to the very high inventory, for example. Okay, and then sometimes you are not controlling the inventories, and then you send to the to the companies, to the OEM, right? Let's say you go for Proton, submit the parts there, okay, and you are not checking, and there's a lot of parameters that leads to secondary defect, and it will out of control. Okay, so that's why most of the companies, okay, they are going to share all the information, okay, to reduce the risk of the third party, and then reduce numbers of supplier contact, okay, loss of customer contact for firms sells directly to consumer but decide to use third party to collect incoming orders or deliver outgoing product. Okay, so the next one is risk of using third party is reduce customer and supplier contact. What does it mean? It means that, for example, Proton, okay, appoint vendors to produce a components for automotive, okay, and then you have the agreements that you are going to deliver the components to Proton, let's say for example in the volume of 300 per month, okay. But then suddenly, at the same time, okay, the companies, the vendors also sell the products directly to the customer, for example, okay, and they are not go through the Protons, for example, okay, the OEM, okay. So maybe customers that seeking for a spare parts, okay, they are not going to Proton anymore to buy the spare part. They go directly to the vendors. Why? Maybe because of the cheaper price, right? So that's the risk of it, okay. And also number 4, loss of internal capability and growth in third-party power. Let's say, for example, Hewlett Packard and Motorola use contract manufacturers but reluctant to move procurement or design. Okay, so when you go for a third party, all right, so you lost the benefit of learning and knowledge, all right. So because you just sub to them. I don't care what happened, okay, I just want to make sure that you will deliver your products to my company, for example, okay. So the only thing that you want is to make sure that the parts is okay while receiving that, okay, in your premises. So that's the thing that you are going to lose of the internal capability and growth, okay. So no one understand, and no one will learn how to do that, okay, because you sub everything to third party, okay. And then the other one, leakage of sensitive data and information, okay. Normally if you appoint vendors, normally they will sign the NDA, non-disclosure agreement, okay. But then for somehow, the integrities is not there, okay, they may have they might have a possibilities, all right, to have a leakage of sensitive data and information, okay. So let's say, for example, the RB Hicoms, they do the parts for Proton and also they do part for Prodoas, all right. So let's say, for example, Prodoas want to introduce their new models, all right, so they sub some of the components to that particular vendors, and at the same time Proton's also there as their client, okay. So there will be a tendency for the third parties to leak the information from the Prodoas to Proton, okay, so as a competitors, okay. So using third party requires firm to share demand information and in some cases IP, intellectual properties. If third party serve competitors, there is always a danger of leakage, okay, leakage of sensitive data, okay, and it happened, okay. It is real. It is a real story, okay. It is happened, okay. Especially when you you put your parts, okay, under one roof, and at the same time your competitors also do the parts, okay, of yours, right? Do the part of the companies, okay. So two products, okay, two different companies, they are competitors, and they also have their parts in one vendors or third parties factories, right? So one of the example is, let's say for example, I'm working with Volkswagen last time, okay, I cannot enter Mercedes-Benz factories. Okay, what I do is, if I want to go to Mercedes-Benz factories, I have to change my clothes, okay, rather than using the Volkswagen clothes, I change to DRB Highcom clothes and shirt, so I could I can enter Mercedes-Benz factories. Okay, so they have two factories, okay, in one compound, both are competitors. Okay, so that's how how the possible of leakages of data lah. All right, okay, even I'm a staff of Volkswagen at the time, okay, I cannot enter the factories of Mercedes-Benz. You just cross the road, okay, opposite the road, okay, the factories, okay, in the same compound. Okay, and then ineffective contract means that not a win-win situation. Okay, so sometimes vendors are not paid enough by the OEM. Okay, or maybe for somehow the projection is slightly derailed from the expectation. For example, let's say for example, if you say that we are going to introduce this product, okay, this product is projected to have 100,000 units per year, okay, but suddenly it does not meet the target, okay, and then it will lose vendors will have a quite high impact in terms of the investment, okay. All right, so ineffective of contract. And then number 7, loss of supply chain visibility. Okay, this is I think nowadays is not as concerned as what we have before, 10 to 20 years back. Okay, now they are easy. They have a lot of tools and equipment. Okay, in terms of supply chain visibility. Okay, and then the other one is negative reputational impact. Okay, the risk of it. Okay, means that maybe the vendors is not properly do well in the process. Okay, and then they send the products to you. Okay, let's say for example, the power windows modules came from outside of Protons. They supply that, and then the modules is placed into a Proton cars, and then Proton cars sell the cars, and after 3 days, power window is broken. Okay, so it will give a negative reputational impact to not to the vendors, to the OEM. Okay, so that's the risk of it. Okay, but then to be honest, you cannot do everything in one compound. You are not like Tesla. Okay, Tesla, they have a gigafactory. Okay, so if the companies, let's say for example, the vendors is not capable to do the batteries, okay, Tesla will do it, the production of the batteries in the factory. Okay, so most of the Tesla in Tesla factories, most of them most of the business they doing in house. Okay, all right. So that's the risk of it. So in terms of Tesla, they try to avoid this kind of risk. Okay, so they just try to do the production in house. So everything is in house. All right. Okay, and then strategic factors in sourcing. okay, support the business strategy, and number 2, improve firm focus. Okay. Okay, nanti I don't know whether this can be played or not. You can play the 6 steps to create a strategic sourcing plan. Okay. All right, supplier scoring and assessment. Okay, this is the one of the most important thing that you have to understand, because you are going to use this in your group project. Okay. So what is the supplier scoring assessment? Supplier scoring assessment is a comparison, okay, to scale, okay, the supply performance, all right, in terms of their supply impact, okay, on the total cost. So there are several other factors beside purchase price that influence the total cost. Okay, so there's also some of the other factors, okay, which is replenishment lead time, okay, on-time performance, supply flexibility, delivery frequency or minimum lot size, okay, supply quality, inbound transportation costs, pricing term, information coordination capabilities, design collaboration capability, exchange rate, tax and duties, and supplier viability. Okay, so not limited to this. Okay, so what you have to do, okay, during your group project, you are going to use this kind of assessment to score. Okay, so choose the companies that you want to go for. Okay, and then try to understand the the assessment. Okay, supplier assessment. Okay, this is one of the example. Okay, all right. So so how the evaluation is calculated is let's say, for example, we take one of the example, process control system. Okay, you put a weight of 20. Okay, you have a quality system. The total overall of quality system, you weight the quality system 20. Okay, all right. So so the sub weight, okay, is here. All right, 7 plus 8 plus 5 is equals to 20. Okay, so each of the elements under the quality system you are going to evaluate, okay, based on your maybe your interview, maybe your observation in the companies, maybe you ask the managers, all right, of the shop or companies, okay, and then you put the score. Okay, so 1 to 5. Okay, 1 to 5. 1 is the lowest, 5 is the most appropriate. Okay, the good. All right. So let's say, for example, you put each of the elements, okay, 4, 4, and 5. Okay, so you are calculating the weight. So how you want to calculate the weight? Okay, so you have to times 5 times 4 and divide by how many scale you use. Okay, so you have 5 scale, the highest is 5, so 1, 2, 3, 5, so you have 5. Okay, 5 times 4 divided by 5, you are going to get 4 here. Okay, so that's how you do the calculation of supplier evaluation. Okay, so this is one of the example. It is not limited to this. Sometimes maybe you are required to know something else, all right, as part of your evaluation. Okay, you can use this approach as well. Okay, this is one of the example. Okay, and also this is one of the consideration that you can go for. Okay, replenish time. Let's say, for example, if you go to 99 Speedmart, maybe you want to ask about the replenishment lead time. Okay, so maybe you have some thought, okay, in element of it, so you want to know, and then you do your scoring. Okay, okay, this is not specific, you have to copy this. All right, this is one of the example, but the way how you want to calculate is like this. Okay, you give the scale. Okay, you give the weight and the sub weight. Okay, so you times the sub weight times the score that you give, divide by the total scale of the score. Okay, is 5. So you get 4. Okay, and then after that you do the subtotal of it. Okay, so your total score is 80.6, for example. Okay, so this is not the things. Okay, the score is just a subtotal of it. What you want to do is you want to identify which is the key for you to improve. Okay, if you look at back your group project, okay, so at the end of the objective is you want to propose, okay, an improvement. So this is the key for you to go further. Which one is the elements that need to improve? Okay, the one that have score 5, let's say for example, you are not going to focus on that. Okay, all right. So focus on things that need improvement. Okay, that's why it is based on what you want to have, what you want to find out in that particular company. All right. So different groups will have different category. Okay, but then this is your references. Okay, references. Okay, so I might say that what I'm going to see, okay, next face-to-face meeting, discussion about the group project. So I want you to have the names, suggestion, the names of the companies, what is the background of the companies, how they do the business. Okay, so all the backgrounds of the company, you have to go and do a research and present to me. Okay, all right. Okay, and then the next one, okay, you are going to develop this, okay, suppliers evaluation, and I want to see the elements, what kind of things that you want to gather the information. All right, and then from this, and then next you are going to develop your questionnaire. Okay, and then you have to go there to the company and interview the managers of the company. Okay, so the one that have a power lah, don't go for as the counter guys. Okay, so they don't have that power. Okay, the one that have a control in supply chain, so you have to meet them. Okay, and do an interviews to get information. Okay, right? Understood, guys?
Understood, Doctor?
Okay, senang kan? Alright. I think that's the most important thing. Alright. So the next one is total cost ownership, the TCO. Alright, TCO means that in the total cost approach, the quote price from each supplier is taken as the starting point, and then each issue being considered is replaced by a cost of factors. Okay, the process begins by the first, you determine the factors are important to the organization, and then each factors is translated into a cost component that is added into price adder formulas. Alright, so yang ini adalah example kat sini. So kita akan belajar ni lah kita calculation. Patutnya dah habis ni. Ni saya nak masuk next week semua. Tak apa. So kita habis awal lah. Okay. So this is of the comparing suppliers based on the total cost. Okay, what you are going to do is, okay, you go to the books, right? TCO. Alright. So example 15.1, okay, is the one that you see in the slide. All right. So have a read this. Okay. So I'm going to discuss this in the next meeting. Okay. So I mean, if you have to study, then you have to study lah. Of course, not much of calculation method that you can find in this topic, in the topic of supply chain. Okay, if the thing that I'm showing to you is the one that you have to study, okay, so it might come to the test too, or maybe might come to final exam. Okay, so have a read this. Okay, and then we are going to discuss next week, okay, about the total cost. Okay. So, and then after that, we are going to learn about the auction. Okay. So the auction is quite interesting. So there's a lot of auction types, okay, available in this world. Okay. It's not only the auction that you understand. There's a lot of different way. It's quite interesting to learn. Okay. About the auction. Okay. All right. So have a read of this total cost ownership. Okay, this exercise, and then try to understand the calculation. Okay, so I'm going to teach about this next meeting. All right. Okay, guys, that's all for now. Thank you very much. Oh, attendance, siapa yang tak? Kita try attendance sekali lagi. Try attendance. Okay.
Doktor, saya nak tanya doktor.
Yeah.
For the books, would you share it in the e-learning or should we find it by ourselves?
I give to someone, and maybe some guys, you can share in the groups. Boleh tak? Saya bukan apa, saya if you ask me, then you have to buy lah. But then the book is not cheap, all right? So I give to one of your friends. Okay, if you hear me, siapa yang saya bagi tu, mohon share lah dekat dalam WhatsApp group. Okay, books. Okay, boleh
Okay, so, doktor.
Alright, okay. Siapa yang saya bagi hari tu?
Hi doktor. Saya.
Okay, so bolehlah you share lah.
Alright.
Alright, okay. So books is the most important reference because all the question, the example test is referred to the books, alright, and also the notes, and the notes also refers to the textbook. Okay, so alright, so that's all. Okay, group 1 section 1. Section 1 boleh scan. Okay. Saya ingatkan boleh sampai. Okay, tak apa, kita habis awal sikit. Alright guys, that's all. We are not going to have a class on Sunday due to a displacement of holiday. See you on Wednesday. Okay. Wednesday kita kita tak online kan? Dah buat face to face kan? So you are going to attend for your class start on Monday, right? For face to face? Kan 21 kan? So we're not going to have a class on Sunday. We are going to have a class on Wednesday, 23rd. All right. Okay. So thank you very much. See you next week, inshallah. Yeah, Tuesday onward. All right. Okay, good. Thank you, Yuvanesh. All right. Tuesday onward, we are going to have a face-to-face class again. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, doktor.
Thank you.
Thank you, doktor.
Thank you.
Thank you, doktor.
Selamat mengundi selamat mengundi semua. Jangan tak undi. You have your right. Okay. So dah habis attendance, saya stop sharing lah.